There is nothing random about the design of my flutes. Some of the wrapped wires and arms may look haphazard, but they are accurately placed with the appearance of some disorder. The same may be said for the chaste images that I've been adorning my flutes with this past year. But with this flute, there is a real story here for anyone who cares to look. Once I decided on the story of the Wind Horse, I researched and read about Choctaw art and different versions of the story itself with an eye to finding highlights that could tell the tale in images. My main picture frames are the key cups augmented by levers and other open spaces. Since this is not a new flute, but art added to an existing Lunn flute, I was limited in some of the creative choices I could make. After I sketched out the images I wanted, I drew them in detailed illustrations using Photoshop. That way I could reduce the completed pictures to the size of a flute cup and print on a clear label which was then stuck to the surface of the cup. From there, I embedded the cup in my chasing bowl where I could chase the image through the label and create all the details I desired. As you can see, this finished cup is not exactly the same as the picture. As I work the silver on such a tiny scale, changes occur to me that might improve the final work. These pictures were done on finished flute keys, not on a new cup, and I use them only as examples. The story of the Wind Horse offers a rich palette of imagery, and I chose some literal, some abstract, and some symbolic. For instance, diamond figures and half diamonds are an integral part of Choctaw and other American Indian visual designs. They symbolize time and wisdom and dreams and other intangible concepts. Animals like the bear, with its paw here caught in a trap in the foot joint cluster, are symbols of strength and bravery, and the turtle on the C-sharp cup in diamonds represents wisdom and eternal life, are also essential to storytelling. In the end, the flute will have to be self-explanatory to anyone looking at it. But let me tell you the story. Wrapped in a deceptively simple narrative, the ancient legend of the Wind Horse tells a tale of ultimate self-sacrifice. It begins in a time out of mind, a time before now, a time that modern fables usually introduce with the phrase, once upon a time. However, in a beautifully original poetic fashion, this story begins in a time when the sun and moon were still deciding which should rise first. It is there that my telling begins as well. The Wind Horse. In a time when the sun and moon were still deciding who should rise first, between them lived the Wind Horse. This horse had no enemies. He roamed the earth freely and without care. He was the last of a race that could share the feelings of his rider. Wind Horse was the fastest and gentlest of all the Indian ponies. He felt no fear, for there was no one that could harm him. If there was an Indian wounded or needed a ride, Wind Horse was there to care and to carry him to good health and safety, taking his pain and suffering to himself. One day, Wind Horse heard a cry and saw a boy on the edge of the forest with his cub's foot caught in the trap meant for bear. The boy's foot was cut off, leaving him helpless and in terrible pain. Wind Horse went to his side and bent to let the boy get up on his back. The boy, who had no name, could not believe that this beautiful horse would help him. He clung tight to the horse's mane as they were borne on the winds of time and change to places he had never seen. As they rode, he dreamt of running free with other boys, of playing and learning the hunt, and having someone to care for and love. He realized that Wind Horse could understand his feelings, and somehow he too could understand his mount. As they traveled over the wind, crossed time, and through this world and into another place, Wind Horse listened to the boy's hopes and dreams that could never come true, for he knew that if they did not continue this ride, the boy would stay crippled, but if they kept going, neither would live in this world again. Wind Horse began to feel love for the boy, and even this was not enough to take the pain away from one who could never become a brave and never hunt with the tribe. On they rode as time and thought became mixed, and the feelings that the boy felt were now becoming the feelings of Wind Horse. He was taking them to a place of the Indian hunting ground, a place where all were made whole and had no fear nor need, but could never leave. This grieved Wind Horse, for he knew that this was his last ride. He always put his rider off before they arrived at the hunting ground, so that they might both stay in this world. But for love he could not leave this boy to such a fate. Yes, he thought sadly, this is my last ride. I have found one that needs all that I can give. I will miss all my travels and the friends that I have made and helped along the way. Wind Horse turned his head and nuzzled the boy. They were becoming one spirit on a journey that left all earthly wisdom of the ages behind and passed beyond the call of the birds of thunder and of lightning. It was then that Wind Horse told the boy they were going to a place where he could have 2 good legs, and all his wounds, hunger, need, and hurt were gone, to the great hunting ground. As Wind Horse and the boy walked into their new world, all the Indian people felt a great sadness. Wind Horse could hear their cries, but he knew that with the passing of many suns and moons, they would forget him and his race. He prayed to the Great Spirit to send a reminder to them of the friendship that he and they had shared. And with Wind Horse's prayer, the horse was given to the Indian people as friend.